Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and oh hi everybody, what is going on? It is Galeriot here, and welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Battle Chronicle video. And today we are taking our first look at Bell and Lefiya's techniques. They've dropped the sneak peeks for not only just their skill 1s and skill 2s, but they finally dropped their special moves as well. Of course, before we get into this video, first and foremost, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. Hopefully everybody is gonna have a fantastic day and fantastic last week of the year, of course, leading into the new year. And of course, remember to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and of course, let me know your thoughts on both Bell and Lefiya down below in the comment section. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below based on what we've seen so far. Now, the reason why this video has taken some time in coming out is because just like last time with Eyes, they decided to drop everything in like bits and pieces. So on the 23rd of December, 2 days ago, they dropped Bell's techniques, skills 1 and 2. And then yesterday, they dropped Lefiya's skills 1 and 2. And now today, they've dropped both of their special moves. So they've been doing this whole thing of, gradually revealing everything. And while I could have easily made like 3 separate videos, right, where Bell's techniques would have been covered in one video, Lefiya's techniques would have been covered in a second video, and then today I would have done a video on the special moves. Rather than doing that, I decided to collate all of it together into this one video instead, so that we can actually see everything in one shot. So let me know if you guys prefer something like this, or would you guys prefer me to cover it the moment they come out? I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below in regards to that. I think a lot of you guys prefer this all in one video format instead of having it in like bits and pieces, to be quite honest. All right, anyways, besides that, let's go over the techniques and special moves for both of these units, and we'll start off with Bell. So, introducing the techniques of Realis pursuing White Rabbit Bell, who will appear in the new event following the Sword Princess's footsteps. Obtain the new buff Realis from Technique 1 and deal increased amount of damage by consuming Realis with Technique 2. So what this tells me, right, is if we take a look at the move itself, right, we're gonna have a look at this as well and see what exactly we're dealing with here. So first and foremost, I haven't looked at the video in itself. I did read about the Realis buff, however, and of course the fact that you can basically consume Realis to deal more damage effectively. So what this tells me, and the reason I guess why we had the UI update as well, is because we're gonna get effectively stacks in this game now. So obviously we know that technically scene cards can stack, stats and everything, but this is the first time we're going to be able to see a buff in game, the actual, when we're actually playing the game and when we're actually attacking enemies and stuff, we're going to see a buff being stackable. Now, the thing is, right, in a game like this, and we actually had this discussion in a live stream a couple of days ago, the problem with this being a thing, unfortunately, is that we are still in a game that isn't exactly very smooth. Even in games like Genshin Impact, which is a open world, big time game, with a very smooth engine, compared to other gacha games at the very least, probably the smoothest game engine out there, to be quite honest, when it comes to combat and stuff. Even then, having stackable units that stack like certain buffs and stuff, is it's pretty rough sometimes. You look at units like Yanfei in Genshin and stuff, they're not amazing to stack with, to be quite honest. They're not bad, but they're not exactly brilliant stacking wise. It's clunky sometimes, it doesn't pop off really well, it can be a bit of a struggle. So in a game like Danmachi Battle Chronicle, having a technique that's able to stack up and get those buffs going, and being able to convert those stacks into damage through Technique 2, and I'm not gonna lie, I assume through the special move as well, because it makes sense if the special move also consumes Realis to deal more damage. I feel like it can become a little bit clunky, and it can also lead to, unfortunately, what is an overusage of Technique 1. And based on what I've seen right here, I ain't gonna lie, Technique 1 ain't looking the greatest in terms of like the range, to be quite honest. It seems very close range, too close range even, and so to me personally, I think that might end up becoming a little bit of a hindrance in game modes like event ranking and stuff. We'll have to wait and see, of course, but I'm not a big fan of that range on that skill 1. Skill 2, however, has a decent-ish amount of range. It seems like they've built him very similarly to the first Bell we had, of course, the only Bell we have right now in terms of URs, of course, right? The Fire Bell, very similar technique 1 and 2, but of course, it does seem like there's a slight difference with the whole Realist thing, basically, right? So there's that, of course, with Bell. Now let's take a look at his special move. So I think this is the special move, if I'm not mistaken, right? So the special move is also very similar in that regards. His special move, Realist Fireball, deals a large amount of damage and increases in damage based on the amount of Realist he has. So once again, it's all reliant on stacking the buff effectively, which is quite interesting. Again, I love the fact that they're, you know, introducing new ways of playing the game in some way, shape, or form, right? Of course, you know, we've had consistently slight differences here and there with Halloween units. We had the poison mechanic, right? With Otarl, it was obviously a very tanky unit that can also be somewhat offensive, being able to resist knockbacks and shield and all that jazz, right? Kind of different there as well. Aspi was all about just applying as many debuffs as possible, right? Obviously a little bit RNG with her until you get her awakened, but the core idea was still there, right? In that she was able to basically apply insane amounts of debuffs consistently, right? And then obviously with the Christmas units, and in the case of Eyes, we had a unit that was more reliant on her normals and her skills rather than her special move. Like usually the special move is the big one, right? But Eyes was different. Eyes is more technique based and normal attacks based, basic attacks based. So I think this is another case in which where a new unit is quite different in the sense of he is relying on his stats from his skill 1, which means you're going to use his skill 1 way more than anything else, and then you'll use his skill 2 and his special move when necessary. So I think that's quite interesting and quite different as well, to be quite honest, right? So there is that. Now I want to show you guys this special move, of course, right? I think his special move has a large range, which I'm very excited about. Of course, it's not shown really well here, unfortunately, right? But I really like the fact that it is based on the trailer we saw a couple of days ago for the event. It does seem like it's going to have insane amounts of range. So I'm quite curious to see how effective that will be in game modes like event ranking, where you might be able to get two mob sets effectively eviscerated in one shot effectively, right? I think that would be something very interesting to see, and I'm hoping it is something that works. Now, one thing I'm going to quickly do here is I'm going to just click a picture here while making it bigger screened, so that I can actually see what that says here, because I realized, not gonna lie, when I was celebrating Christmas last night with some friends, my roommates I should say, I'm becoming more and more blind. I'm not gonna lie, I'm realizing I'm becoming more and more blind. So hopefully I need to, you know, not hopefully, I need to go and check my eyesight in the next couple of days, to be quite honest. So at 1 star and 5 star, it seems like it's a damage increase straight up, right? There's no difference there. It's not like it's adding in a special effect or anything. I think Bell is going to be one of those units that is just pure damage, and that's about it. So we'll see how that goes. But of course, I'm curious to see how strong it actually ends up becoming. I think he'll be a really good single target unit. Based on what I've read so far, right? I feel like more so than anything else, he is a single target unit through and throughout, which means he'll be an amazing option for game modes like United Final Battle, you know, specifically difficult stages like, of course, the EX stages that we get in the events and stuff, story quest stages as well. I think it's going to be very important on those stages more so than anything else. So there you have it. That's Bell for you guys. Now, let's take a look at Lefiya. So Lefiya has been already been playing in the background. Oh my god, it's too loud. It's too loud. Twitter videos are too loud. All right, so let's take a look at the sneak peek for Lefiya, introducing the techniques of a Fairy Heart's Desire Lefiya, who will appear in the new event following the Sword Princess's footsteps. She can deal damage to the enemy while healing your unit's HP and granting them in status increase. Now, this is quite interesting to me because originally, I'm not gonna lie, what I initially thought was going to happen was that she had an ability, or this was when the Japanese tweet came out, and I had read it, and I initially thought that, and this is where I will say my Japanese is a little bit shaky, right? I initially thought that what she did was that she was able to heal her HP at a certain HP level. So like, say for example, this is what I thought it would have been like. So under 60% HP, she would have been able to heal her HP, and then above 60% HP, she was able to buff the in status. Now, for me, I thought that this was going to be very similar to like a Bennett in Genshin Impact, right? But it turns out that she's able to do both at the same time while also dealing damage to the enemy. So her first skill seems to be very slow. It seems like a slow like bullet, basically a very slow bullet, which in all honesty can be very hit or miss depending on how you look at it, because of course in event ranking, for example, the enemies move around too much, arguably, especially with those guys that backdash and everything. So having a technique like that may not be the best thing in the planet. And then this is of course just a straight up rushed in attack, basically, like just push in, basically straight in. So I think that's absolutely fine. But yeah, I'm very curious to see exactly how this bullet is going to work, if it's fast enough, if it's too slow, and then of course I want to see how much HP is healed and how much of a buff she gives here as well. The numbers are going to be quite interesting to see, of course. And then we take a look at her special move, and this is also something that's very interesting as well. So this is a special move of Lefiya, of course, and it deals medium damage to the enemy, so it's not a huge amount of damage, but it grants a field that gives multiple buffs, such as the new buff Realis. Utilize this in the United Final Battle to use its effects to the fullest. So first and foremost, it's not the area field effect that I thought it was going to be, where I thought it was just going to place it on the ground and it was going to, inflict burn onto the enemies. It just seems like it's going to be a field exactly like Bennett once again, where you're able to effectively buff your allies and yourself as well. And if basically, because the field is going to be on at all times, even if you switch out characters, what Lefiya is going to be is an insane support unit, it seems like, wherein she's going to be able to place the field. You're going to swap out into your other unit, in this situation probably Bell, in order to get the new Realis buff. You're going to be able to stack it with your S1 as well, and you're going to be able to pull off your special moves and techniques at a higher damage at a much faster rate, purely because of the field being up at all times, which makes things very interesting. And of course, they've also mentioned that it is an excellent option for, of course, game modes like United Final Battle, of course, because the field is going to be on, and because your allies are going to be in that field as well. Look at the range, it's a pretty big circle, it seems like. You are going to be able to put it with your other units. Now, to quickly take a look at what buffs you exactly get, let's take a look right here. I'm gonna have to click another picture again and see what buffs we exactly get, but I'm assuming it's a lot, because at 1 star it seems like you're getting a huge amount of buffs. So in the before you get any awakenings or anything, you get a water damage boost. You get Realis, I think it is, as well, and then you recover your HP as well. At 1 star you get increased damage, the effect amount is going to increase, and the special moves damage is going to increase as well. You also get additional damage increase to allies within the field as well, and then at 5 stars it's an effective boost as well. So it's just pure damage boost you get from this skill as well, which is to be expected. Once again, I mean, this is really strong. I feel I think Lefiya is looking to be quite honest, for me personally, a better long-term unit than Bell does. Bell is going to be great, of course, in the short term, especially for the upcoming event ranking and everything. He'll probably be amazing, but I do believe Lefiya is probably going to be the better option longer term because of her supportability and everything. Now, unfortunately, we've been looking into the language used in the news recently, right? So if we go over to Danmachi Crow just in a second, of course, let the page load in and everything will switch to English, right? One of the things we've noticed, unfortunately, is that, and this is a little bit of an annoyance, again, we can't really say if it's right or wrong. We'll have to wait till tomorrow to see, but we have realized that in the update notice, right, for the units itself and everything, right, we initially thought that these guys would probably be, non-time limited, right? We thought they would be non-time limited. But according to this, and where it says, along with the event following the Sword Princess's footsteps are new characters, the limited characters Bell, Chronicle, and Lefiya Viridis will be added. Now, admittingly, it was there, so we can't really say that, they lied to us or anything. It was written there. I just honestly ignored it probably the last time round we came here and, read through the notice and stuff, right? To me personally, I'm not a big fan of this, because what this means to me is basically, from my understanding and based on what they've done so far, is that if they're gonna give these characters a new costume or something, right, a new outfit, that means they're gonna be limited, which I think is a very stupid way of going about things, to be quite honest. I understand if Christmas is limited. I understand if Halloween is limited. I understand if Valentine's is limited as well, right? I understand if these special seasonal occasions are limited, but things like this should not be time limited, in my personal opinion. I think that this is a very bad misstep if it is actually going to be limited. Now, it very well could be the case, and this is me coping a little bit, that limited characters is in the sense of like the gacha itself is limited, and you know, you can only see them being rated up once only, or this time only. But it's in the language. Come on, I can't really cope that much now, surely, right, guys? So we'll have to wait and see later tonight as to whether or not it is going to be limited or not. I mean, based on this, it will probably be limited, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think Lefiya is pretty interesting. I'm not gonna lie, I think longer term she'll be the better unit to go for, to be quite honest. But in the short term, I do believe Bell is going to be a really good option for the water team. I know a lot of people are looking to get him because not everybody has water options, to be quite honest, if you look at the general pool. And this is the reason why I wanted these units to be non-time limited as well, is that the general pool is pretty bad when it comes to two elements in particular: water and purple, to be quite honest, and electric, sorry, I should say, because in water you only have Tiona, she's a fantastic unit, really strong unit, right? Take a look at my tier list. She's an S tier unit, or an S tier unit easily, right? But that doesn't make a change in the fact that the rest of the team is kind of weak in that regards, right? Cassandra is okay, in all honesty, not an amazing option, and that's about it. That's all you have for URs. So blue is lacking when it comes to general URs. And then if you look at, of course, the electric side as well, right, you only have Aisha and Finn as the DPS options, which is, yeah, it's not great. And I'm talking about non-time limited units only, of course, right? And that's the reason why I wanted this, and of course whatever is going to be coming out for electric, to be non-time limited, because we need these units to be in the general pool. We can't afford them to be not in the general pool. But like I said, we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about these two units. Do you guys like them, dislike them? What do you guys think is the better unit so far based on what we've seen and what we've read? I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take it easy, everybody. Bye bye.